G'day, we're here today with Alex at the beautiful North Brighton Community Garden. Thanks for having us, Alex, and looking forward to exploring the place here. Can you tell us a little bit about where we are?
So we are in North Brighton. That is about a 5-minute drive from the beach. So I guess we are in a bit of a coastal community. We're on Kaurna country here, and we are in between the busy roads of Brighton Road and Diagonal Road. So you can find us here just off the side of Boca Oval. We've got Boca Street across the front of our garden, and we get a lot of people using this park, a lot of people coming by and having a look through our garden. So I think we should go check it out.
Now, Alex, am I right in thinking this was a tennis court only a few years ago?
Yeah, so when we first came to this site, it was a tennis court. It wasn't being used, there wasn't a fence or nets or anything like that, but it did have bitumen. So that was something to think about, whether or not we were going to plant on top of the bitumen or rip it all up. And we did choose to rip the bitumen up. And so now we're in a process of regenerating the soil and regenerating the land that we grow on. And that was really quite important to us. So taking, I guess, seemingly disused space and turning it into something that could have multiple uses.
You were 19 when you took this on?
I would have been around 19 when I guess I had some crazy idea to start a community garden. It took 3 years to find land. So I guess when we did eventually find this space, I was around 23. And between starting and finding this space, we were in talks with the council. We went through a few different community consultations to find the perfect area that, everyone was happy for us to grow on and start this garden. So it was a journey, definitely.
So the garden here, is it built upon the permaculture principles? Or?
Yeah, so that was a huge influence in the design of the garden and the ethos of the community garden. I think more than anything we wanted a context to set the community garden in, so something that a lot of people already know about. So permaculture is a set of design principles where you place yourself within nature. You're not a part of nature, you're not separate to it. It's about holistic systems. Nothing is segregated, everything is interconnected, and that's very much what we wanted to have at the forefront of what we do. So I think it was very much about thinking, the small actions that we do here are going to have a ripple effect outward. It's going to make a difference. So permaculture, the three, I think, what is it?
Ethos.
Of earth care, people care and fair share, very much guided what we did and do.
You can feel that as you walk through the garden.
Yeah, that's lovely.
It's
amazing.
And you must feel that with the community members that you meet, and you can see the benefits.
Yeah, I think so. I think, I imagine that community gardens are this reflexive space to many of the issues that we are dealing with in today's modern society. So I think that they are a response to a lot of the environmental issues and social issues that we have. And it's a reminder that we are connected, and the best way to connect is to be aware of how you grow your food. And I think that simple action can have huge effects.
So one of the things I love about your greenhouse, the reuse factor. Talk me through the design.
Yeah, so that was really important to us, that, where we can source locally, and we can source from things that have already had its life, and so we're giving it a new life. So we do have the windows across the front, which are all from salvage yards, and across here.
So how did you go finding all of the windows and making them fit?
Many trips to salvage yards. We're really lucky that we had Bo, who could put together the jigsaw puzzle on a computer instead of having to, measure it out and do it all by hand. I think that very much helped.
Yeah.
He was so skilled in doing that.
And it's stunning.
Yeah.
You're using it quite a lot?
Yes, so we use the greenhouse all the time. We have 2 sort of big plant sales throughout the year, and this is where we grow all of the plants that we can then sell to community garden members and also community members living by.
So we're in the greenhouse here. What have we got growing at the moment?
We have so many things. We have a lot of winter veg that we will then use for our wintertime plant sale. So primarily we do grow edibles that people can then grow here or grow at home. And we'll often teach people how they can grow their produce at home. That's a really big thing here, is education. So teaching people that what we do here in the garden can be replicated in your home, even if it's a very small courtyard garden or you're living on, you know, multiple acres as well.
Yeah.
Obviously every place is going to be different and specific to where you're growing, but everyone can grow some of their food.
Absolutely.
So what we do here is we do grow everything from seed, or we will propagate cuttings as well. So along this wall we've got all growing from seed, and that is really important to us, that ability to grow from seed and to have sovereignty over the seeds that we grow. So knowing that where our seeds are sourced from, not selecting GMO seeds.
Can I ask, where do you source your seeds, or do you save seeds?
We are trying to save seeds. We really want to save our seeds. Obviously, we're still kind of in our infancy here, so we haven't had too many seasons to collect many seeds. But each year, I know that we will slowly work up our seed bank and our seed library, which we have in the shed.
So it's actually quite a big operation that you've got here. How does it work?
Yeah, so we have a managing group, which is maybe around 8 to 10 people. So we all have our specific roles in that, and then we do have some subcommittees or groups. So we have a gardening group and a compost crew, some people that are now taking charge of propagating and seed germination, and I hope eventually we'll just have some more groups organically form as well, as we figure out what people are interested and what people want to do in this space. So I know at the moment some wonderful ladies are starting up an arts and crafts group, and that way we can get some beautiful artwork in the garden. And I think having that structure works. It's not too structured, that everything is mapped out and planned out, but people still feel able to take responsibility for the garden.
Bring in their own inspiration.
Exactly.
And everyone benefits.
And it's a collective experience what we're doing here, and so we really want to foster that as well.
There's so many aspects to this garden. Talk us through it.
Yeah, so we wanted it to have so many aspects because it's going to be a multi-use space. There's so many different people using the space, and without spreading ourselves too thin, we did want to cater to, you know, the diversity which is our community. So we do have the sensory garden behind us, and anyone is able to walk throughout the day. We wanted it to be really accessible and inclusive. And we do have our main path, which is wheelchair friendly. So we wanted anyone with sort of mobility challenges to still be able to enjoy this space. We have our communal areas as well. So for a general membership, you can use these areas, you can plant in these areas, pick small amounts from these areas and look after it. And then we also do have the individual plots that are in front of us, and people can then rent these spaces and grow what they like in them.
So how did you establish these plots?
Yeah, so the timber that we used is heat treated. It's not chemically treated, so they're not lined. We didn't use any plastic in them, which was very important to us. We did use the hugelkultur method, which is something a little bit different. So basically it's this idea that you dump a whole heap of organic matter, like decomposing branches and logs, into the center of your bed. As they decompose, they release nutrients into the soil. They increase water retention.
Love it. So a lot of this is slow
Yeah.
solutions that you're
Yeah, exactly.
incorporating.
Yeah, it's I think a lot of people do opt for wicking beds, and that was something that we did very much consider. For us, it was very resource intensive.
Yep.
And I know that obviously a huge perk of having the wicking beds is that you don't use so much water as a resource. And it's something that we're considering now for some other beds. But we liked the idea of doing something a bit different and giving it a shot. And so far, so good.
It's working. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so it's been fun to kind of, do something different and just give it a shot.
Well, Alex, I find it so inspiring that such a young woman of 19 could take on such a project and make it happen. How do you feel?
Thank you. I do feel very proud of, it wasn't just me, obviously, but I do feel proud of what I've achieved and what the community has achieved. I think, I was thinking a lot prior to you guys coming down about this space and thinking why a community garden? And I think a lot of the time my answer is I don't really remember why. And I don't totally. I think I just thought it was a good idea. I think also, growing up young people, there's so much pressure and a lot of overwhelm around the world that we're living in. There's a lot of stress that we're living in a time of climate crisis. Social justice issues are extreme. There's a lot of problems in the world, and I think that we can't accept that this is normal.
Yep.
I don't think it's how people are meant to be. I think we're meant to be loving. We're meant to be in communities. More than ever, people are lonely.
Yeah.
So why not have these spaces where we can come together? And I think there are so many young people reacting to the issues that we see. And I know that I'm not alone in what I'm doing. And there are so many young people fighting and working for change. And the change will happen, and we have to change. And I'm very hopeful that we're going to see more spaces like this come up.
Well, thank you so much for being part of that change and inspiring that change. And would you have any advice to young people wanting to start
Yeah,
the foundations for a community garden?
yeah, and even older people.
Yes, excellent.
Anyone who wants to start a community garden, give it a shot. It's not necessarily going to be an easy thing. Find a group of like-minded people that you're going to be able to share the responsibility with. Start talking to your local council.
Yeah.
I think that local councils are supportive, and they are very much waking up that food is a part of reacting to the climate crisis. It's a part of building more sustainable and resilient communities. So start talking to your local council. When we started off, we started with some letter drops in our local area. We built a very kind of simple website so people can get online and see what you're about. The power of social media.
Draw on the resources that you've got.
Exactly right. Yeah, just give it a go. I think also connecting with local community groups is really good, and just talk to everyone that you can, and talk to lots of other community gardens. We have a wealth of knowledge and experience around Adelaide with so many new and old community gardens. So get out there and give it a go.